She woke to the sound of hammering. It came steady, sharp, like it belonged more to her blood than the wood. She pulled her shawl around her shoulders, stepped barefoot onto the porch, and saw him, a stranger, tall, broad-backed, sleeves rolled up. He was fixing the broken fence like it was his own land. "Stop," she said. He didn't look up. It needed fixing. She stepped off the porch, anger rising. "That's not your fence." "It will hold better now," he answered, voice flat. She moved closer, close enough to smell the sweat on him. "Who told you you could touch it?" He finally looked at her. His eyes were steady, too calm. "Your mama." Her chest tightened. "My mama's been gone a long while. She promised me." "You're lying." He drove another nail, the hammer ringing like a church bell. "She said I'd sleep here someday." She grabbed the hammer out of his hand. "Get off my land." He didn't flinch. "You promised too. You don't remember?" "I never saw you before in my life." "You saw me," he said. "You just didn't look." Her grip tightened on the hammer. The fence leaned between them, half mended, half broken. "What's your name?" she asked. He didn't answer. "Tell me." "No use for names," he said. "Your mama never needed mine." "That's a lie. She said the day the fence broke, I could come. And I came." She shook her head. "You're out of your mind." "Maybe." His voice stayed even. "But I'm here." Silence settled, broken only by the hammer in her hand. She wanted to throw it at him, drive him off. Instead, she set it down on the fence post. "You can't stay," she said. "I'll stay," he replied. "I'll sleep in her bed." Like she said. "You won't step inside." "I already did." Her stomach dropped. "When?" "Before you woke. The house still smells like her. Same quilt folded at the foot. Same chair by the window." She felt her knees weaken. "You stay out of that room." He studied her face. "You sound like her when you're scared." "Shut your mouth." "I'll sleep there tonight." "You'll leave before sundown." He leaned against the post, calm as stone. "We'll see." She backed away toward the porch. Every board of the fence seemed heavier with his hands on it. She wanted to run, but pride nailed her to the ground. "You come back tomorrow. The sheriff will be here," she said. "Sheriff won't help you." "You don't know him," he smirked. "I know his father. I buried him myself." Her throat went dry. "What are you?" "Just a man who fixes what's broken," he said, "and collects what's owed." "I don't owe you." "You do." "No." "You promised. Maybe you forgot." "Doesn't change it." She shook her head hard as if to knock the words loose. "My mama never promised you nothing. She promised me everything." The wind carried dust across the yard. He picked up another nail, slow and deliberate. "Go inside," he said. "You don't need to watch." She stayed frozen. "You'll see when it's done. The fence will hold, and I'll sleep." Her voice broke. "You scare me." He glanced at her, his face unreadable. "Good. Fear means the debt's still alive." She swallowed hard. "What debt?" He pressed the nail into the wood. Hammer raised again. "You'll learn soon enough." The sound of the nail driving in echoed through the morning. She flinched with every strike, her mother's face flickering in her mind like smoke. "Tell me who you are," she whispered. He didn't answer. "Say it," she demanded. "No need," he said. "You'll remember when the time comes." The hammer fell again. The fence held. The ground seemed to tilt beneath her. She turned, walked back toward the house, heart pounding so loud she couldn't hear her own steps. He kept working behind her, calm, patient, each nail marking a promise she never made but somehow carried. Inside, she shut the door, pressed her back against it, and tried to breathe. The hammering didn't stop. It rang through the walls like it belonged here, like it had been waiting for this morning. "Don't let him in," she whispered to herself. "Don't let him in." But she knew he already was. The morning stretched long, filled with the rhythm of the hammer striking wood. She stood at the edge of the porch, arms crossed, watching the stranger drive nails into the fence her father once built. Each sound dug at her nerves. Each strike felt like it was aimed at her rather than the post. "What's your name?" she asked. He didn't stop. "I said, what's your name?" He pressed another nail into the wood. "Doesn't matter." "It matters to me." "No, it doesn't." Her voice sharpened. "You think you can walk in here, fix my fence, talk about my mama, and not even tell me who you are?" The hammer lifted, fell. "Your mama knew me." Her breath caught. "You're lying again." He set the hammer down, turned just enough so she could see the lines in his face. "She knew me better than you think. Her stomach turned. That's not true. She said I'd come. She told me I'd sleep here someday. Now I'm here. She shook her head, fast, like a child trying to wake from a nightmare. You're nobody. Then why are you shaking? I'm not. You are, just like her. Her throat tightened. She wanted to shout, to make his voice stop, but the words pressed against her chest and stuck there. She stepped down from the porch, walking closer, dirt clinging to her feet. Tell me who you are, she said. I already did. No, you didn't. He leaned against the fence post, eyes steady on hers. I told you, I'm the one she promised. That's not a name. It's enough. No, it's not. Her voice cracked. Say your name. He smiled, faint and cold. What would you do with it? Carve it into the ledger, bury it by the well, burn it like the rest? She froze. What did you just say? You heard me. How do you know about the ledger? He looked back at the fence. Your mama wrote more than numbers in it. She wrote names. Some she paid. Some she didn't. Her hands shook. You, stop talking about her. Why? Because you're afraid she owes more than she could pay. She didn't owe you. She owed plenty, and you carry it now. The weight of his words pressed down on her shoulders. She felt it in the dirt beneath her feet, in the silence of the empty house behind her. You think you scare me, she whispered. I don't need to. You're already scared. She clenched her fists. If you don't give me your name, I'll make the sheriff drag it out of you. The sheriff won't come. You don't know that. He gave a low laugh. I do. The sheriff's got his own debts. Same as your mama. Same as you. Her chest burned. Stop. Why? Truth hurts. I said stop. The sound ripped out of her, loud enough to shake a crow from the fence. The bird flew off, black wings cutting across the pale morning sky. He didn't flinch, didn't move, only watched her, as if her anger belonged to him too. You don't belong here, she said. I belong more than you do. This is my land. It was hers first, and before her, others. You just stand in their shadow. Her jaw tightened. That room, my mama's room, stay out of it. He tilted his head. Why? Afraid I'll take her place. You can't. I already did once. Her stomach lurched. Don't you dare. She let me in, same as she said you would. No. Yes. You're a liar. I don't lie. I carry. Carry what? He looked back to the fence, fingers brushing the wood like it was something holy. Her promise. That's my name. That's not an answer. That's all you get. She felt dizzy, like the ground wanted to open beneath her. The air smelled of dust and old iron, the kind that clings to your skin and won't wash away. You'll leave before sundown, she said again, voice thin. I'll be here when the moon rises. You won't. I will. She turned back toward the house, but his voice followed. You know it, don't you? She stopped. Know what? That you can't run from her debts. They're in your blood. They're why the fence broke. She looked down at the dirt, at her bare feet pressed into the earth. The weight of it all felt older than her bones. Go to hell, she said. I've been, he replied. This is worse. She walked fast, heart pounding. Behind her, the hammer rang out again, each strike driving deeper, each sound carrying the weight of a name he refused to give. Inside, she closed the door hard, leaned against it. The walls felt thinner than they ever had. His voice seemed to live in them now, stitched into every nail, every board. She pressed her palms to her ears, but she could still hear the hammer. She could still hear his words, her debts, her promises, my name. Her voice broke in the silence. Mama, what did you do? The hammer struck again, steady and slow, like an answer she didn't want. The hammer struck wood in slow, steady rhythm. Each blow felt too close, as if the sound belonged in her chest rather than the fence. She stood with her arms folded, trying not to watch, but her eyes kept dragging back to the stranger's hands. Rough, scarred, patient, he set nail after nail into the wood, and with every strike, something older stirred in her memory. He didn't look up when he spoke. Why is the house so empty? She froze. He set another nail, drove it in clean. Where's your people? Her throat tightened. None of your concern. It's my concern if I'm here. You're not here, she snapped. You're trespassing. He leaned into the fence, wood groaning under his weight. Still empty, though. No voices, no footsteps, just dust and quilts. Her jaw tightened. Shut up. You don't like me asking? No. Because you don't like the answer. She stepped closer, anger sparking hot. You don't get to talk about my family. He finally looked at her. His eyes were calm, steady, too steady. That's the problem. There ain't any. Her hand curled into a fist. Say one more word. He held her stare, then tapped the hammer against the post, slow and deliberate. Family leaves marks, laughter, arguments, secrets. I walked through that house this morning. All I heard was silence. Her face burned. Get out of my house. I fixed your fence. I'll fix your house too. You won't touch a thing. He smiled faintly. I already did. Her breath hitched. What did you do? Just walked through, sat in her chair, touched the quilt. She felt her knees weaken. Don't you dare. She said it would be mine, same as the bed. Stop saying that. I'll keep saying it until you listen. You don't know her. I knew her better than you. Her heart pounded so loud she barely heard her own words. That's not possible. Then why do I know about the ledger? Her stomach dropped. He nodded, slow. I know about the names written in it. I know what she paid for this land, and I know what she promised. She took a step back. You don't belong here. I belong more than you do. No. Yes. You're lying. I haven't lied once. Her voice cracked. Then tell me who you are. I told you. I'm the one she promised. That's not enough. It's all you'll get until you remember. Her chest tightened. She hated the way his voice settled into her bones, the way the hammer's rhythm felt like it had been there all along. She turned away, but his words followed like smoke. You ever wonder why they left you? She stopped cold. He drove another nail. Your brothers, your father, they all left. You stayed. Ever ask why? Her mouth went dry. Shut your mouth. They knew what was owed. They knew it would fall on you. That's why. Tears stung her eyes, but she blinked hard, refusing to let them fall. You don't know what you're talking about. I know enough. You don't know anything about my father. I know he's not buried here. Her heart lurched. How do you know that? Because I dug the ground once, by the well, saw who was buried and who wasn't. Her whole body trembled. You're sick. Maybe. You're lying. You keep saying that, but you know I'm not. She staggered back toward the porch, her breath sharp and broken. He watched her, calm as stone, the hammer still rising and falling. You think nailing wood makes you right, she said. It makes me stay, he answered. I'll burn the fence before I let you finish it. Burn it then. You'll still see me in the ashes. She pressed her hands to her face, dragging her palms down until her nails scratched her own skin. Why are you doing this? Because it's owed. Owed by who? Her. And now you. She dropped her hands, shaking. I didn't promise you anything. You carry her promises whether you like it or not. She stepped forward, fury rushing in to cover the fear. If Mama made promises, they died with her. He shook his head, firm. Promises don't die. They pass on. Not to me. To you. Always to blood. Her voice rose. Stop saying that. He didn't blink. You know it's true. That's why the house feels heavy at night. That's why the floor creaks when you're alone. It's her debt, breathing through the boards. Her whole body went still. She thought of nights lying awake, hearing the groans in the walls, the chair shifting by itself, the faint smell of smoke in her mother's room. You don't know what you're saying. I do. Then tell me what she owed. His face hardened. You'll find out soon enough. Her knees nearly gave way. You're cruel. No. Just be patient. She staggered back up the porch steps, gripping the rail. The hammer struck again, slow and steady. Don't you ever get tired? She asked. He glanced at her. Never. A man doesn't get tired of what he's owed. She whispered. You'll leave before sundown. He shook his head. I'll still be here when the stars come out. The hammer fell again. She pressed her back against the wall, chest heaving, and tried not to hear it. But the sound carried through her, each nail another memory she didn't want, each striking a weight her mother had left behind. The house was silent, except for the old clock in the hall. She sat at the table with a lamp burning low, her hands tight around a chipped mug. Every creak of the floor made her chest seize. She knew he was still outside, maybe still driving nails into the fence, maybe waiting. She didn't expect the sound of his boots crossing her porch. The door opened slowly. She stood, ready to shout, but he didn't come into the kitchen. He moved past, heavy steps trailing down the hall toward her mother's room. She followed, heart pounding. He stopped at the doorway. The lamplight from the hall cast his shadow long across the floorboards. "You can't go in there," she said. He didn't turn. She said it would be mine someday. Her throat tightened. "That's a lie." He stepped inside, calm, sure. "Get out," she snapped. He looked at the bed. The quilt lay folded at the foot, untouched for years. She kept it ready. "She kept it for her," she shot back. "Not you." He sat down on the edge of the bed, hands resting on his knees. "Feels the same as it did then." Her chest seized. "You never sat there before." "I did." "You didn't." "I did," he said again, voice flat, heavy as stone. Her fists shook at her sides. "You're sick." "Maybe, but I'm not lying." She stepped into the room, her voice trembling. "She would never let a man like you sit here." "She let me," he said. "She didn't." "She did, and she told me when the fence broke, I could come back." She shook her head, words spilling fast. "You're twisting things. My mama never promised you this room. She promised nothing. You're making it up." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "You sound just like her when you're cornered." Her stomach churned. "Shut your mouth." She looked at me the same way you do now, scared, angry, but she still let me sit here. "You're lying. You keep saying that, but you don't believe it." "I do." "No," he said, calm, steady. "You're afraid it's true." Her breath shook. She backed up until she hit the wall. "You don't belong in this room." "I belong more than you. You're not blood." "Blood doesn't mean everything." "It means enough." He looked around the room. "This bed's seen more promises than you'll ever know." "Stop talking like that." "I won't." She raised her voice. "You'll leave before morning." He looked at her, unblinking. "No, I'll sleep here." "You won't." "I will." "I'll drag you out myself." "You won't," he said, quiet but certain. Her chest heaved. She wanted to rush him, wanted to tear him away from the bed, but her feet wouldn't move. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, voice breaking. "Because it's owed." "Owed by who?" "Her and you." Her breath faltered. "I didn't promise you anything." "She did, and you carry it now." Her eyes burned. "No." "Yes." "I won't." "You already are." She pressed her back to the wall, hands covering her face. The smell of the quilt seemed stronger now, dust and lavender, her mother's ghost rising with it. He lay back slowly, resting his head on the pillow. "Still smells like her," he murmured. Her heart cracked. "Don't you dare." "She said I'd sleep here someday. Now I will." Her tears spilled hot down her cheeks. "You're a monster." "No. I'm a man keeping a promise." "She never promised you this." "She did." "She didn't." He closed his eyes, his voice even, almost gentle. "You'll remember soon enough." She stared at him lying where her mother had once lain, rage and grief twisting tight inside her. The walls seemed to close in, heavy with memories she didn't want. "You don't belong in that bed," she whispered. "I do," he said. "No." "Yes." Her chest shook. She backed out of the room, step by step, never taking her eyes off him. He didn't move, didn't open his eyes. At the doorway, she stopped, gripping the frame so hard her nails dug into the wood. "I'll never let you stay," she said. "You already have," he answered, eyes still closed. She turned and walked fast down the hall, tears blurring her vision. The floor creaked under her feet, the same way it always did when her mother walked it. She hated how the sound felt the same now, as if her mother's steps had returned through his. She reached the kitchen, leaned against the table, and pressed her palms into the wood. The lamp flickered low, shadows stretching long across the walls. She could still hear the faint creak of the bed in the other room, his weight settling deeper into it. She whispered to the empty air, "Mama." Why him? No answer came, only the silence of the house carrying his breath. The clock ticked slowly. Her tears dripped onto the table. Up the hall, the bed creaked once more, steady and calm. She knew then he wouldn't be leaving by morning. The drawer stuck at first. She pulled harder, wood scraping, dust rising like it hadn't been touched in years. Her mother's things were still there, tucked away as if waiting. Yellowed cloth, old buttons, a chipped brooch. Beneath it all lay the ledger. She froze. Her hands trembled as she lifted it out. The leather cover cracked under her touch. She sat at the edge of the bed, lamplight dim against the pages. Names filled the paper, some crossed through, some left raw, numbers scrawled in the margins, debts, promises. Then her eyes caught on one line written at the bottom, written once, then again, over and over until the ink bled through the page. He sleeps here when the fence is fixed. Her breath hitched. She shut the book fast, but the words still burned in her mind. She opened it again, desperate, and saw the same line repeated across 2 more pages, as if her mother had been carving it into the paper by force. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." She tore the page hard, ripping it from the spine. The sound cracked the silence like a whip. She ripped again, shredding the words, breaking them into jagged pieces. Her hands shook as she stuffed the scraps into her skirt pocket. "You shouldn't have done that." Her head snapped up. He was standing in the doorway watching. Her chest heaved. "Get out." His eyes dropped to her hands. "You found it." "Get out," she said again, louder. "You found her promise. She never promised you anything." He stepped into the room, slow and steady. "Then why'd she write it?" "She was sick." "No, she was clear." "You're twisting this." He nodded toward the ledger, still lying open on the bed. "Read it to me." "I won't." "You already did." She stood, clutching the scraps in her fist. "Stay back." He smiled faintly. "You can rip paper, but you can't rip what's owed. I'll burn it. Burn it, and the words will still be in you." Her knees wobbled. She pressed her back against the wall, holding the torn pieces tight. "You're not staying here." "I am. She said so." "She didn't mean you." "She wrote my place in ink. You can't change that." Her voice cracked. "Who are you?" "You know." "I don't." "You do." "I don't." He moved closer, stopping at the foot of the bed. His hand brushed the ledger. "Your mama carried debts. This land, this house, even the air. She paid with blood. The rest she paid with promises." "She didn't promise you this." "She did." "She didn't." He lifted the ledger, turning it toward her. Her hand wrote it, not mine. Her tears blurred the page. She shook her head fast, refusing to see. "You think by tearing it, you're free?" he asked. "Yes." "You're not." She promised. "You carry it now." Her body shook. "I hate you. You hate the truth." "You're not the truth. You're nothing." He looked at her steadily. "Then why are you trembling?" She slammed her fist against the wall. "Stop talking like her words mean something. They mean everything." She was old. She was tired. She didn't know what she was writing. She knew. She didn't. She knew the fence would break. She knew I'd come. "You weren't supposed to come," she hissed. "I was." "You weren't." He placed the ledger gently back on the bed. Every debt comes due. She knew. That's why she wrote it over and over, so you wouldn't forget. "I didn't forget," she said bitterly. "I never knew." "Now you do." Her fist unclenched, scraps falling from her hand. Torn words scattered across the floor like dried leaves. She stared at them, unable to breathe. "Pick them up," he said. "No. Pick them up." "I won't." "You will." Her eyes stayed on the scraps, the ink black against the torn edges. She whispered, "Why would she write that?" "Because she owed me." "For what?" He leaned on the bedpost, voice calm. "For silence." Her head jerked up. Silence? She wanted things buried. I buried them. In return, she promised me this. Her skin crawled. "What things?" "You'll find out." "I don't want to." "Doesn't matter." Her whole body trembled. "You're cruel." "No, just owed." She dropped to her knees, gathering the scraps with frantic hands, trying to fit them together. The words still lined up, no matter how she pressed them, no matter how she tried to tear across them again. "He sleeps here when the fence is fixed." The room felt heavier, the walls pressing close. She rose to her feet, clutching the torn pieces, chest burning. "You'll never sleep in that bed," she spat. He tilted his head. "You can't stop it." "I'll stop you." "You'll fail." "I'll kill you." "You won't." Her face twisted. "Why not?" He stared at her, voice even. Because I already died once. The air drained from her chest. She staggered back, clutching the scraps so tight the ink smudged onto her palms. You're lying. You keep saying that, he said softly. But you don't believe it. She pressed her back to the wall, shaking. The ledger sat open on the bed, pages blank and waiting. The words she tore seemed louder now, echoing in her ears, crawling into her skin. Get out, she whispered. He turned, slow, calm, and walked toward the door. At the frame, he looked back once. Keep the ledger close. You'll need it. Then he was gone, his boots heavy against the hall floor. She slid down the wall, tears spilling, scraps of paper clutched tight in her fists. The ledger stayed on the bed, open, waiting. The knock shook the door like it belonged to the house itself. She jumped at the sound, gray scraps of paper still clenched in her hands. The stranger didn't move from the chair where he sat, calm as ever. The knock came again, harder. She stepped forward, voice tight. It's the sheriff. The stranger smiled faintly. Took him long enough. She opened the door. The sheriff stood there, hat low, jaw tight. His hand rested near his belt, though no gun showed. You all right? He asked her. She hesitated, eyes darting back toward the stranger. No. The sheriff stepped in, boots heavy on the floor. He looked the stranger over. You don't belong here. The stranger leaned back, unbothered. Still talking like your daddy. The sheriff stiffened. Leave. Can't. This is her land, not yours. It was never hers, the stranger said flatly. You know that. The sheriff's eyes narrowed. Don't start. Too late, the stranger replied. The sheriff looked at the girl. You want him gone? Yes. The sheriff turned back. Then you'll walk out that door. The stranger shook his head. No, boy. You remember. The word landed sharp. The sheriff's jaw clenched. You buried it with me, the stranger said. Thought it'd stay down. The girl's stomach turned. What's he talking about? Nothing, the sheriff snapped. Not nothing, the stranger said. You were there. Shovel in your hands, dirt in your teeth. The sheriff stepped closer. Stop. You buried me, boy. The sheriff's breath caught. You did it sloppy, the stranger went on. Left the ground soft. Left me half in, half out. Didn't hold. The girl's voice shook. Sheriff? Shut up, he muttered. The stranger smiled without warmth. She doesn't know, does she? Not a word. She will, the stranger said. The sheriff's fists curled. You keep quiet. Quiet doesn't last, the stranger said. Not with me. The girl looked between them, fear sharp in her chest. Sheriff, tell me what this is. Nothing you need to hear. She deserves to know, the stranger said. She doesn't, the sheriff bit out. The stranger leaned forward. You still see it when you close your eyes. That hole, that dirt. My face is under it. The sheriff's breath grew rough. Say it, the stranger pressed. No. Say it. The sheriff shouted, Enough. The house went silent, but for the clock in the hall. The girl stood frozen, the scraps of paper trembling in her hand. The stranger leaned back again, calm as ever. You can't erase it, boy. It's in the ground. Always will be. The sheriff turned away, jaw locked tight. His face was pale, sweat shining at his temple. You can't scare me, he muttered. I don't have to, the stranger said. You already are. The sheriff's boots struck hard against the floor as he walked to the door. Don't turn your back on me, the stranger called. The sheriff stopped but didn't look back. His voice was low, almost broken. You should have stayed on the ground. The stranger smiled faintly. But I didn't. The sheriff pulled the door open, the hinges groaning. He stepped out into the fading light without another word. His jaw stayed clenched, his shoulders stiff, but he never once turned back. The girl stood shaking, staring at the door after him. She turned to the stranger, her voice barely a whisper. What did he bury? The stranger looked at her steadily. Me. The smell woke her first. Smoke. Sharp. Heavy. She ran to the window and saw the glow rising behind the trees. Orange light flickered wild against the sky. The barn was burning. She tore the door open and ran into the yard barefoot. The heat hit her, searing against her face, ash flying on the wind. The old barn roared with fire, wood snapping, roof already caving. The stranger stood there watching, calm, hands in his pockets. What did you do? She screamed. He didn't look at her. Det burned slow. Her chest seized. You lit it. No. You did this. He turned to her, eyes steady. I didn't strike the match. The roof collapsed, sparks shooting into the sky. She stumbled back from the heat. You think this proves something, she shouted. It proves what was already true. You're lying. I told you. It started long before I came. Her voice broke. That barn was all I had left. It was hers, same as the debts, same as the promises. She covered her face, coughing. Tears mixed with the smoke. You don't get to take everything from me. I didn't. You're standing there like it doesn't matter. It matters, just not to me. Her fury cut through the fear. You'll pay for this. I already did, he said flatly. She froze, the fire crackling loud around them. What do you mean? I paid once, long ago. Her voice rose. Stop talking in riddles. He stepped closer, the fire painting his face in red. Your mama knew this barn was never meant to stand. She knew the fire would come. She wrote it. She didn't. She did. In the ledger. Her stomach twisted. No. Yes, she wrote it plain. The barn won't hold. It burns with the rest. Her eyes blurred. You're twisting her words again. You saw them yourself. Don't pretend you didn't. She dropped her hands, trembling. Even if she wrote that, it doesn't mean you. It means everything is tied to her. Fire's part of the debt. Always was. The barn groaned, walls folding inward, flames climbing higher. The sky turned black with smoke. She stepped back, shaking her head. I'll rebuild it. He shook his head. You won't. I will. You can't build on ash. Watch me. He stared at her, unblinking. That's what she said. The words hit her hard. Don't. She said it standing right here. Same ground, same fire. Her breath faltered. When? The night she promised me the bed. Her knees nearly gave out. No. Yes. She never. She did. She didn't. His voice cut sharp. She did. You don't want to believe it, but you know. That barn was already burning the moment she spoke it. Her heart pounded so loud she barely heard the roar of the flames. Why are you doing this? I'm not. You are. I'm showing you. She screamed through the smoke. You're tearing me apart. I'm not, he said, calm as stone. She already did. Her tears burned her skin. She wanted to run into the fire, to pull something out, anything. But the barn was gone. Nothing left but heat and sparks. You think this makes you stronger? She asked. No. Then what? It makes you see. I see nothing but ash. That's all there ever was. She stumbled toward him, rage twisting inside. If you didn't set it, then who did? He met her eyes. She did, long before I came. Her voice cracked. You're lying. I don't lie. You stand here with that calm face and tell me she destroyed everything herself. She did. She loved this place. She loved her silence more. Her breath shook. What silence? The kind you pay for with fire. Her legs weakened. She dropped to her knees in the dirt, smoke swirling around her. He stood above her, calm, watching the barn collapse into blackened ruin. She promised to sleep, he said slowly. She promised me this land would burn, and it has. Her voice trembled. You'll never sleep in her bed. He leaned down, voice steady. I already did. She stared at him, horror twisting in her chest. The barn gave one final groan and fell, sparks scattering across the dirt. She whispered through her tears, I hate you. You hate what she left you. She turned her face away, choking on smoke. The fire blazed high one last time, then settled into ruin. The air filled with the sound of crackling embers, sharp and hollow. He straightened, hands still in his pockets. Debt burned slowly, he said again. She closed her eyes, broken, the words sinking deep into her. The fire had smoldered down to black ash by morning. The barn was gone, the air heavy with smoke. She hadn't slept. Her eyes were raw, her hands blackened from clutching the dirt, as if she could hold on to something that wasn't already lost. The stranger came to her side of the porch, calm as ever. Walk with me. She shook her head. I'm not going anywhere with you. You will. No. You need to see. I've seen enough. He turned toward the trees. The well's waiting. Her breath caught. What well? He looked back at her, steady. You know which. Her stomach turned. She stayed rooted to the steps, but her feet betrayed her. She followed. The ground was damp near the grove, soil darker, earth softer. The old stone well sat crooked, its frame leaning like it carried more than water. She froze at the sight of it. Here, he said, pointing to the ground just beside it. She swallowed hard. What about it? It tilts because it's heavy. Her voice trembled. Heavy with what? He crouched, running his hand over the soil. 2 are buried here. Her chest tightened. No. Yes. That's not true. It is. She shook her head, backing up. You're lying again. I don't lie. You said it last night about the fire, and now this. This ground remembers, he said, pressing his palm against it. 2 are here. Her voice rose sharp. No one's buried by my well. He looked up at her. One's missing. Her breath faltered. Stop. One's gone. That's why the fence broke. That's why I came. You're making things up. Am I? Yes. Then why's the earth sinking here? Her eyes darted to the ground. The dirt did look sloped, sunken as though something pressed down beneath it. She shook her head again, fast. It's nothing. It's not nothing, he said. She shouted, Stop trying to poison my mind. I don't have to. You do. He stood slowly, brushing soil from his hands. Your mama's voice is in the dirt. You hear her when you sleep. Her chest burned. Don't talk about her voice. It lingers, he said, calm, certain. Like smoke. Her tears welled hot. She never buried anyone here. She did. She didn't. She had no choice. Her legs shook. She stumbled back until she hit the stones of the well. You're lying, she whispered. He stepped closer. You feel it in your bones. The ground pulls at you every time you walk past. She pressed her palms against the stone, fighting for air. He wasn't wrong. She had always hated this spot and had always hurried past it at night. She choked out, Why would Mama? To keep silent, he said. Her stomach twisted. No, she wasn't like that. She was exactly like that. Her hands trembled on the stones. Tell me who's buried here. You already know. I don't. You do. You've just kept it buried like she did. Her voice cracked. Tell me. He looked at her long, then pointed again at the earth. 2 are here. One's missing. That's all you need. Her chest collapsed. She sank to her knees, pressing her fingers into the dirt as if she could feel what lay beneath. The soil felt too soft, too warm. She whispered, Mama. He crouched beside her. You can't run from it. She jerked away. I can. You can't. I'll dig this ground up. I'll show you nothing here. Dig then. You'll see. Her throat tightened. She didn't move. You're scared to touch the truth, he said. I'm not scared. You are. She slammed her fist into the dirt, voice breaking. Shut up. The sound carried, echoing through the grove, but the silence after was heavier than the shout. She looked at her handprint pressed into the soil. It felt like it didn't belong to her anymore. She whispered again, Mama. The stranger stood, towering above her. She left you her silence. Now you carry it. Her tears spilled. I don't want it. Doesn't matter what you want. I'll never believe you. You already do. Her head snapped up, anger flooding through the grief. I'll tear this whole land apart before I let you win. He only stared at her, calm, unmoving. The land's already torn. You're just catching up. She dragged herself to her feet, wiping her face with shaking hands. The tilted ground loomed at her side, heavy, waiting. She hated how it felt alive now, how every shadow of the grove seemed to lean toward it. 2 are buried here, he said again, voice steady. One's missing. Her chest heaved. She backed away slowly, eyes locked on the dirt. No, she whispered, weaker this time. He didn't move. She turned and stumbled back toward the house, each step heavier than the last. Her mother's voice seemed to cling to the air behind her, soft as smoke, fading, but never gone. The barn was nothing but ruins now, charred beams, scattered ash. The smell of smoke sunk deep into the soil. She moved through the wreckage with her skirt hem, dragging black across the dirt. The morning light showed the edges of wood still glowing red. Her hands sifted through the ashes, desperate, though she didn't know for what. She coughed as smoke clung to her throat. A corner of paper caught her eye, pressed under a beam. She pulled it free. The edge burned, the writing smudged but still clear enough to read. Her mother's hand. If he comes, let him stay. If you refuse, the fence won't hold." Her heart seized. She read it again, eyes shaking. "No," she whispered. The voice came from behind her. "You found it." She spun, the letter clutched tight in her fist. "Stay back." He stood just outside the ruin, boots sunk in ash, calm as ever. "You knew," she said, voice breaking. He nodded once. Her chest heaved. "You knew this letter was here?" "Yes." "How?" "She told me she'd leave proof." Her throat burned. "Why?" "So you'd believe." "I don't." "You do." Her hands shook as she held up the letter. "She didn't write this." "She did." "She didn't." He pointed to it steady. "That's her hand. You know it." Her knees weakened. She looked at the loops of ink, the lines she had seen 1,000 times in her mother's old notes. "It's a trick," she said, voice thin. "It's not." "You planted it." "I didn't." "You did." "I couldn't." "The fire did the rest." Her tears spilled, streaking ash across her cheeks. "She would never promise you anything." "She promised everything. She loved me. She left you with this." Her hands trembled harder. "If he comes, let him stay," she read aloud, her voice breaking on the words. He stepped closer. "And if you refuse, the fence won't hold." She staggered back. "Stop. The fence is already broken. You saw it. That's why I'm here." "No." "Yes." Her breath came fast, shallow. "This isn't real." "It's more real than you want." She clutched the letter to her chest. "I'll burn it again. Burn it, and the words will stay with you." "I'll destroy it." "You can't." "I will." He studied her, calm as stone. "She left this for you." "Not me." Her voice cracked. "Then why does it sound like it's for you?" "Because it is." Her tears blurred the ink. She wanted to rip it to pieces, scatter it in the ash, but her hands froze. "She said the fence won't hold," he said softly. "Do you want to see it fall again?" Her head shook. "No." "Then let me stay." Her whole body shook. "You don't belong in her bed." "I already do." "You don't belong in this house." "I already walked it." "You don't belong in this land." "I came from it." Her knees buckled. She sank down in the ashes. The letter clutched tight. The ruins felt like they pressed in around her, heavy, choking. "Why her?" she whispered. "Why would Mama promise you anything?" "She owed me." "For what?" He knelt across from her, ash coating his boots. His voice was calm even. "For silence." Her tears burned. "You keep saying that." "What silence?" "The kind you bury with dirt, the kind you feed with fire, the kind you keep in a ledger." Her head shook violently. "You're cruel." "No, just owed." She pressed the letter against her knees, her body trembling. The words smeared where her tears fell. "She didn't write this," she whispered again, weaker now. "You know she did." She looked up at him, desperate. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing you haven't already given." Her breath caught. "I haven't given you anything. You let me in." "I didn't." "You did. The moment you read that letter." She clutched it tighter, her nails tearing the edges. "Why are you doing this to me?" she cried. "I'm not," he said, voice steady. "She is." The silence that followed was louder than the fire had ever been. Her body sagged forward. She whispered into the ash. "Mama." "Why?" He rose to his feet, watching her. His shadow stretched long across the ruin. "You see now," he said. She didn't answer. "You believe," he said. Her tears streaked the ash on her face. She wanted to deny it again, but the letter in her hands burned hotter than the fire ever had. She sat at the table. The half-burned letter spread before her. The words blurred from where her tears had smeared them, but the meaning still cut sharp. The house felt heavy, air thick, as if her mother's voice was stitched into the walls. The stranger moved through the room slow and steady. His coat brushed the chair as he passed. Something glinted faint from his pocket, catching the lamplight. She froze. "What's in your coat?" she asked. He didn't answer. "I saw it," she pressed. "Show me." He poured water from the jug into a cup, calm as stone. "No need." "There is." He set the cup down. "You don't want to see." Her chest tightened. "I do." "You'll regret it." "Show me." His hand went to his pocket, slow. He pulled out a worn badge, metal dulled with age. Not sheriff, not deputy, older. He placed it on the table between them. Her stomach dropped. "What is that?" "You know." "I don't." "You do." She shook her head. "That's not a sheriff's badge." "No." "Not a deputy either." "No." Her eyes darted to the shape, the etching nearly rubbed smooth. "What then?" His eyes stayed fixed on hers. It was hers. Her breath hitched. "You're lying." "I'm not. My mama never carried a badge." "She did." "She didn't." "She did before her silence bought this land." Her voice broke. "You don't know what you're saying. I know more than you." She slammed her fist against the table. "Stop twisting everything." He stayed calm, unmoving. "She held power once, then she traded it. Badge for dirt, voice for quiet." Her hands shook as she pointed at the badge. "That doesn't belong to her. It belonged more to her than this house ever did." Her eyes burned. Why would Mama have a badge? Because she judged. Her throat closed. No. She judged men who thought they owned this land. She judged families who buried their debts in other people's graves. Her tears fell hard. She wasn't like that. She was. She wasn't. He leaned closer, voice low. She carried that badge until it carried her. Then she laid it down and chose silence. That's how she bought peace. That's how she bought you. Her body went still. The words landed heavier than the smoke from the barn, heavier than the dirt by the well. "You're lying," she whispered again, but it came weak, uncertain. "I don't lie," he said. "She never told me." "She couldn't." "She would have." "No, she knew if you carried the truth, you'd never rest." She stared at the badge, tears dripping onto the table. "Why show me now?" "Because you asked." Her voice broke. "I wish I hadn't." "Wishing doesn't change it." She wiped her face with shaking hands. "So you're saying she was one of them? Sheriff, deputy, law." "Not law. Older. She judged before they wore stars. Her word was heavier than theirs." "That's not possible." "It is. This land remembers." Her nails dug into her palms. "If that's true, why give it up?" He leaned back, gaze steady. "Because silence was easier to keep than justice." Her stomach turned. She never would have chosen silence. She did. She chose it when she promised me this bed. She chose it when she buried the well. She chose it when she let the barn burn on paper before it burned in fire. Her head shook violently. "You're cruel." "I'm owed." "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." Her voice rose. "Owed for what?" "For the life I carried when she laid the badge down." Her knees weakened. She grabbed the edge of the table. "What life?" He slid the badge closer across the wood. "Mine." Her breath shattered. "That's not possible. You think you're the only thing she chose to keep?" Her whole body trembled. "You're lying." "You know I'm not." "I don't believe you." "You do. That's why you're crying." She pushed back from the table, standing fast. "Take it back. Take it all back." He stayed seated, calm. "I can't." Her voice cracked. "Why are you telling me this?" "So you'll understand why I won't leave." Her tears spilled fresh. "You can't stay." "I can." She promised. Her chest heaved. She promised everything away. To you. To the dirt. To the fire. He nodded once. "And now you carry it." She stared at him, broken. Then at the badge lying dull between them. She wanted to throw it into the fire pit, to bury it deep, but she couldn't touch it. Her whisper was barely sound. "Mama." "What did you do?" The stranger leaned back, eyes steady, as if he'd already heard her mother answer. The fence leaned under the morning sun, boards warped, nails rusted. She stood staring at it, her hands trembling at her sides. The hammer lay on the post where he had left it, the weight of it pulling at her eyes. She picked it up. The stranger leaned against the gate, arms crossed. He didn't move, didn't speak. His silence pressed heavier than words. She set a nail against the wood and struck. The sound cracked sharp through the still air. Her hands shook, but she struck again, driving it deep. He watched. "You think this is yours," she said, voice shaking. He didn't answer. Another strike, the nail buried deeper. "You think she gave you everything." Still no reply. She turned her head, glaring at him. "If Mama promised you sleep, then you'll work for it too." His eyes didn't flinch. "All right." Her chest tightened. She struck again, the hammer ringing loud. "No more standing around." "I'll work," he said, voice low. "You'll build, if you want her promises kept." "I'll build." She drove another nail. Her palms burned from the grip, but she didn't stop. "No more sitting in her bed while I do the labor." "I'll work," he repeated, steady. She slammed the hammer hard. The nail bent sideways. She cursed under her breath, yanked it free, and tried again. The sound shook through her bones. He stepped closer. "You're holding it wrong," she glared. "Don't tell me how. You'll split the wood that way." "I don't care." "You care enough to keep hammering." Her breath shook. "Stay back." He stopped where he stood. "I'll help if you let me." Her chest heaved. "I don't need your help." "You do." "I don't." "You can't mend it alone." She struck again, hard enough to blister her hand. "Watch me." He stayed still, watching her drive the nail crooked but firm. The wood groaned but held. Her arms shook with the effort. "You're not the only one who can keep something standing." "I never said I was." "You act like it." "I act like I'm owed." Her voice rose sharp. "Then earn it." He paused, eyes steady on hers. "That's what I'm doing." Her hammer froze mid-swing. "By standing there. By waiting until you let me in." Her heart pounded. She struck again, sweat dripping down her temple. The fence shuddered with every blow. "You'll stay out of that room until the fence is done," she said. He nodded once. "Fair. You'll work on every board." "I will." "You'll drive every nail." "I'll drive them." She lowered the hammer, panting. Her hand stung raw. She dropped it into the dirt at his feet. "Then start." He bent, picked it up, weighed it in his palm. He turned toward the next post, set the nail straight, and struck clean. The sound rang sharp, sure, without hesitation. She crossed her arms. "You make it look easy." "It is." "Not for me." "You'll learn." "I don't want to learn from you." "You already are." Her jaw clenched. "Don't say that." "It's true." She turned her face away, blinking back tears. "I hate you." "You hate her promises." Her throat tightened. "Stop saying that." He drove another nail, steady rhythm. "You'll see it through." "I won't." "You will." "I'll leave this place before I give you what you want." "You won't leave." "Why not?" "Because the land won't let you." Her knees weakened. She gripped the fence for balance. "You sound just like her." He struck the nail deep. "That's because I carry her words too." She pressed her forehead against the rough wood, whispering, "Mama, what did you do to me?" He stayed silent now, the hammer rising and falling with sure rhythm. She hated how the sound steadied her breathing and how the fence looked stronger with each strike. She turned to him, voice harsh. "When the fence is done, you leave." He shook his head. "When the fence is done, I sleep." Her chest burned. "Not in her bed." "In her bed." "Never." "Yes." She grabbed another nail, pressed it into the wood herself, and struck. The hammer nearly split her skin, but she didn't stop. She matched his rhythm, blow for blow, until the sound filled the air like a heartbeat. The fence groaned, then held. Her arms ached, her palms blistered, but she didn't let go. He drove nails beside hers, quiet, steady, as if they had done this together all their lives. When the sun slipped lower, the fence stood straighter, patched with fresh wood, and old. She dropped the hammer into the dirt, breath ragged. He wrested the last nail into place, struck it clean, then set the hammer down beside hers. She whispered, voice raw, "If Mama promised you sleep, then you'll work for it too." He nodded, low and steady. "I will." The fence held behind them, stronger than it had been in years. The silence after was heavier than the hammer ever was. The last board fit tight against the post. She held it steady while he struck the nails clean. The rhythm was slow, sure, almost gentle now. The fence stood straighter than it had in years, patched with fresh wood, bound by their labor. Her palms burned, blistered from the hammer, but she didn't let go until the final nail sank. He lowered the hammer, set it in the dirt. Neither spoke. The silence stretched wide across the yard. "It'll hold," he said at last. She nodded once, her throat raw. "You kept your word," she whispered. "So did she." Her jaw tightened. "Don't bring her up now." He studied her face, steady. "She's never left." Her arms trembled as she brushed dust from her skirt. "The fence is done. You can go. He didn't move. You know where I'll go. She stiffened. No. Yes. You're not sleeping there. I am. She turned fast, fury cutting through exhaustion. That bed is hers, not yours. It was hers, he said. Now it's mine. Her voice cracked. You don't deserve it. He stepped closer, quiet. It isn't about deserving, it's about owing. Her chest heaved. I hate you. You hate the promise she made. She never should have made it. She did. Her tears burned. And now I pay. He nodded. That's how debts work. They don't die. They shift hands. She pressed her palms to her face, shaking. I won't watch you. You don't have to. The house loomed heavy behind them. She followed him up the porch steps without meaning to. His boots echoed down the hall. The door to her mother's room creaked open. She froze in the doorway as he sat on the edge of the bed, same as he had before. He lay back slowly, his head sinking into the pillow, his boots still on. His voice came low, barely above a whisper. Debts don't die, only shift hands. Her chest broke. Stop saying that. He closed his eyes. It's true. She wanted to drag him out, wanted to scream, but her body wouldn't move. She stood rooted, tears streaking her face, her hands trembling at her sides. You'll leave before dawn, she said, her voice shaking. He didn't answer. His breathing slowed, steady, deep. She stayed in the doorway, watching, waiting for him to stir, to rise, to leave, but he didn't. His chest rose and fell, his face smoothed, calm. He looked like he belonged to the bed. She whispered to the still air, Mama, what have you done to me? The room gave no answer but the quiet sound of his breath. Hours dragged. She sank to the floor in the hall, back against the wall, staring at the half-open door. The house was silent except for the clock's ticking and the slow rhythm inside that room. She drifted in and out of a restless haze, the sound of him filling her dreams. When the first light broke through the window, she rose. Her body ached, stiff from the floor. She stepped to the doorway, heart pounding. The bed was empty. Her breath caught. She rushed in, her hands tearing the quilt back. Nothing. The pillow lay smooth, as if he had never lain there at all. Her knees hit the floor. No, she whispered. On the quilt, something glinted faint in the morning light. She reached for it with shaking hands. The badge. Worn, dulled, the same she had seen in his pocket. She clutched it tight, the metal biting her palm. Her tears fell hard. The room felt smaller, heavier. The silence pressed in like a weight. She whispered into the emptiness. Where did you go? The house gave no answer, only the badge in her hand, cold and final.